It's Africa's misfortune, if I may say so. We are not united. We don't see things the same way. Some are afraid, some are hesitant, some are there for the interests of other people. The West, there are people who grew up over there, did everything over there, and then they come and are made heads of state in Africa. So they're the ones who control all of that. And so Africa can't have its own opinion.
So, as soon as we came to power, we had hoped that we would be allowed to work quickly and make progress. Unfortunately, some people approached us and wanted us to go along with them because their goal was not for the war to end anytime soon. I'm talking about certain foreign forces that were present on our soil. We had heated debates with diplomats from elsewhere on the matter. But no one wanted us to move toward ending this war. We understood this through the messages. If people actually came to us and told us that we had to accept them supporting the terrorists while also supporting us, it means exactly what it sounds like. It's a war being deliberately maintained. So we quickly understood and we got rid of all the forces that were present here, whether French or American forces, and we realized that the real struggle would come afterward. The second thing was also we believed that we still had at least a minimum stock of weapons and ammunition. Today, I can tell you what I found, for example, in stock. There was just one supply line for all of Burkina Faso with less than 100,000 Kalashnikov rounds. And as for weapons, we barely had 100 of them. Simple ones. It was necessary to re-equip to strengthen the army in terms of personnel, weaponry, and everything else. So, if these prerequisites were met, the 3-month objective was indeed possible. But there was nothing. We were not prepared for war, neither in terms of equipment nor in terms of manpower.
Precisely, Mr. President, as you just said, when you took power, to put it bluntly, there were more men than ammunition in the Burkinabe army. And today, where do we stand with the armament program for that army? And then, what are the signs that it is gradually gaining strength?
Very well. As I said, I can't describe the whole situation as it was. It was catastrophic. And as I said, you can investigate. There may even be soldiers in this room who were on the front lines without weapons that existed in our army. So these were situations where we thought it was just, I wouldn't say bad faith, but an incomprehensible situation. For us, the weapons were there, and yet they refused to equip them. But when we were confronted with reality, very quickly, we resolved first to try to arm the personnel who were present. And that's when all hell broke loose, because many powerful countries refused to sell us weapons. So we turned to those who were willing to sell us weapons. Very quickly we equipped ourselves, we recruited the VDP, and we were able to pay for everything we needed. We developed an equipment plan for a build-up in strength. And as you can see, for the past 2 years now, the equipment has started to arrive, it's still not finished, and more keeps coming in. Maybe in a few days you'll see even more new equipment being presented, which is mainly support equipment, because first, the infantry. We had to equip them so that every man could have a weapon issued to him. That was a big challenge. We've achieved it. We keep recruiting, as you can see. Every year, we recruit between 10,000 and 15,000 men. That's a considerable effort, because when we say adversity is present, the number of terrorists increases. Because the imperialists are recruiting a lot of mercenaries who come to Burkina Faso to fight. So we have to adapt to the situation. And now we have our third phase, which is no longer about buying, but about manufacturing ourselves. And we're also working on that. So that's what building up our strength means. We need to be well equipped, but also to create a defense industry. That's very important.
In a few months or a few years, we'll have our soldiers here using weapons made in Burkina.
Of course. We have the intellectual capacity, there are resources. All it took was to look for them, and there you go. We're working on it. You'll be surprised, for sure.
Mr. President, I must ask, can we truly win this ongoing war? Are we, in fact, going to ultimately win it?
We can only win it. What else would we do? Rest assured, we're not going anywhere, and we will win this war. I told you that the threat is constantly evolving, but we are adapting. And the strength of the Burkinabe army is that it is one of the most resilient armies in the world. The pressure that Burkina Faso is under, I don't think there is any other country on earth right now facing this kind of pressure. But we are holding on, we will fight, and we are constantly adapting to the threat. And we understand where the threat comes from, how it manifests itself. That's the most important thing. And right now, I can assure you that soon we will be talking about a black albino who will appear. And you'll see. Don't ask me what that means. I think you'll understand later. The war will end, and very soon.
Precisely, to win this war, as you just said, we need weapons and we also need men, especially determined men. Determination, as you know, is the major game changer. That's what makes the difference in any war. Right now, as we speak, what exactly is the morale of our troops on the ground?
You've really gotten to the heart of the problem. Human resources, determined men. It's not just about supplying equipment. We need determined men. And if you notice, we are in the process of building a quality army. And it's not uncommon that when it's judged that a unit leader or an element has failed in their mission, they are dismissed and prosecuted. This has happened several times, and it will continue this way. If you sign up to be a soldier, you must accomplish the mission because the mission is sacred to us. And another thing is that despite the pressure, despite the challenges, the men keep fighting and are very resilient. If today you catch a Burkinabe soldier and ask him, do you want other people to come fight in your place or come help you? They will never tell you that. They would rather die. That's where you can judge their morale. They are ready, always ready, despite the situation, no matter what battle we might lose. We will always hold the ground. That's what's very important for the soldier's mindset. So morale is at its highest. People never expected to have this level of equipment, but now they do. So they're giving it their all, and I can only congratulate and thank everyone who is fighting. It's very important.
So, Mr. President, in your speech, you talk about a war that takes different forms, that evolves. We keep asking ourselves this question. We wonder afterwards who is attacking
Burkina Faso. It's not just terrorism. It's a war to seize our resources and prevent us from developing. I once explained this in a speech, I believe. I was saying that if we manage to properly exploit our subsoil resources to process what we are extracting here, what we are producing, there will be unemployment over there on their side. It's a battle. They plunder our resources in order to survive. So it's a war for independence. We must wage this war to be fully independent, to decide our own development, our own path. So that's what it's about right now.
Mr. President, as you just said, we're talking about the security and defense of Burkina Faso. Let's talk about your personal security. You just mentioned it a moment ago. The pressure is enormous. It's huge. The danger comes from everywhere. Mr. President, just in 2025, there have been several coup attempts that were foiled. Mr. President, do you ever feel afraid?
Thank you. I think that's the only strength I have. I'm not afraid. Because I trust all of you, that's the first thing. You have to trust the people, because it's the people who entrusted us with this mission. And I trust the people, that they will understand. And that's why we don't hesitate to stand before the people, to explain the situation to them and tell them what's going on. And that helps maintain a very good relationship. That's the first thing. The second thing, as I said, is that there was a mindset that needed to be developed within our own forces. That's very important. Right now, that mindset is there and people understand why they're fighting. If you look back a few years, many officers in the field didn't know why they were fighting. But if we know why we're fighting, who we're up against, and why there's this pressure, people understand better. And that's why we immediately created the Institute, the higher military school, so that we could train our own soldiers and instill in them what we want. Remember one thing, if you let your forces be trained by other powers, they put into their heads whatever they want. They indoctrinate them as they please, and it's easier to manipulate them. Here in Burkina, right now, that's actually what bothers many imperialist powers. They can't manage to infiltrate our army. All these units that have been created, all these men who are here, no one came from elsewhere to train them. We are built on our field experience, and we trained them ourselves. I personally took part in training some of these forces at the very beginning. So that's already a second strength. And the other strength is that if you have a mission, a goal for your country, you must not be afraid. If you are afraid, you hesitate. If you hesitate, you compromise. And once compromise sets in, you're done. I think that when you decide to make a revolution, you have to be prepared for this adversity. It's a logic that surrounds us. It's a logic that tries to bring us down. It's logical. As I say, it's a battle. They are fighting for their interests. And it's up to us, if we've decided to make the revolution, to do everything possible so that this encirclement is defeated. You see, in Africa, we're used to not having a strong army to begin with. There is no state if there isn't a strong army. But well, that was the system. As I once said to the elders, they came to flatter us. No, you shouldn't arm yourselves. Even recently, I think there was an interview where an American general said it again, that our countries don't need to be militarized. That's their view. We're like children. They're the ones who have to come, sit down, and provide security for us. And many countries are in this situation. They don't build an army. And when the situation arises, it's chaos. We, on the other hand, are building a strong army. That's why I said we fight in Burkina Faso and we train in Burkina Faso. That's very important. What was it like before? Every time, foreign forces, everyone would come to train your soldiers. They treated you as less than nothing. Today, many forces, foreigners, are now seeking to come and train with us. You wouldn't believe it. The world's greatest powers want to come and train with us, with our soldiers. But it's not just about training. They want to learn how we do things, how we operate, who trains us. But today, no one knows how the commandos are trained, how we train them, how we equip them. Why do we think that it's others who should come and train us? They haven't created anything. They just thought about it. We have brains too. So we need a powerful army to face adversity. They will keep surrounding us because there will always be leaders in Africa like that who will allow it. They have their hands tied. They always betray. They will always allow the imperialists to come to their countries to attack their own brothers. If you accept the revolution, you have to go forward with this concept. That's how it will be. So there's nothing we can do about it. We deal with it, but it's up to us to prepare ourselves so that the encirclement is nullified, so they can never achieve their goal. That's all. So we deal with it.
Very recently, ECOWAS held a forum of chiefs of defense staff of the Friends of Africa. Mali and Burkina Faso were not there, nor was Niger. We sense a lack of solidarity, you who are at the top of the state. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's not a lack of solidarity. Keep in mind that it's a confederation, not a federation. In some respects, we do a lot of things together, at least in tandem, but in the Charter, it is stated that countries can decide on their own relationships and what they can do. We can't tell a country not to collaborate with another country. No, we're not at that stage yet. We are in the process of consolidating the Confederation in many areas, including development, defense, and diplomacy. And afterwards, we will move on to the Confederation. These are steps. So Niger can take part in meetings. The Confederation is not closed off. We are open. We interact with everyone. In the very model of governance, the fight against corruption is good governance. First, there is the example that leaders must set. As I say, you cannot be there, a certain category of Burkinabe, just because you have been entrusted with positions. For you, it's a choice between good whiskey and fine champagne. While women are dying as they go to fetch water from the river, drowning or something, it's just not acceptable. So there is this mindset that we need to have in order to build a just society. Everyone should be able to have access, for example, to clean drinking water. You can't just eat whatever you want, choose your meals, throw away whatever you like, while others can't even have a single meal. That's what led us to launch initiatives in agriculture, for example, because the majority of our population works in agriculture. But for a long time, we realized that they have been neglected. It's not that our land is poor, it's not that they lack the ability to work, but they also needed that boost, which is what led us to create these initiatives. Today, I think that the most important thing for me is that when you go into the countryside and ask the farmers questions, they can honestly tell you that now they feel good. They farm, they have enough to feed themselves, and the surplus, they sell. Generally, the community pays for it, creating a security stockpile. And when in certain areas or at certain times there are problems, they take it out and sell it at a well-subsidized price, accessible to everyone. So that's very important. The ideology of revolutionizing many sectors, when you look at the field of public finance itself, we're in the process of digitizing many aspects with a lot of difficulty because people don't like it. Soon, for example, we're going to launch electronic invoicing. Already, when we introduced the idea, many major operators were opposed to it. Why don't they want transparency? Because people have gotten used to cheating, to stealing. It's like a norm. That's what's been established, so all of that needs to change. When it comes to infrastructure, there are a lot of things. The area of public procurement and everything related to it was actually the most corrupt sector. So you're an entrepreneur, you come to see us, we give you the contract, you overcharge, and then we split something under the table. That's the golden rule. And so when someone even comes with a different idea, you're automatically excluded. You're not allowed in if we let this continue. In that case, I don't think we can get out of it. We wouldn't be able to pay for weapons because, as I said, if you don't achieve economies of scale, you can't equip yourself. You won't find a single bank in the world where you can get a loan to buy weapons. That doesn't exist. It's with your own funds that you can equip yourself. In any case, we never had that opportunity. And if anyone knows of one, maybe we'd be interested. And everything we're currently acquiring, I told you once about the amount. It's in the billions of dollars.
The country is at war. We have to do everything for the country. This imported unionism, that's not real unionism. There are even some who boast about having participated in the fall of Sankara. And it's them who started everything, and so on. Do you think that's a good thing? The Westerners manipulate you and you keep acting just the way they want. That's not unionism. A union fights for the interests of the workers. But most of the time, what the leaders really want is to come and share in the spoils with those in power. And people stay silent. No. Listen, we have a lot of files on a lot of, not just the unionists. In society, we have a lot of files. People who approached us at the beginning, who wanted favors, who wanted things we refused, who then turned away, who left, who talk. We have their files. So healthy unionism. There are a lot of actions that we have taken. We didn't wait for people to take to the streets to act. When I was talking about daycare workers, it wasn't someone who came to tell us that there were workers who had been let go and needed to have their rights restored. We saw a case and decided that their rights needed to be restored. We told the finance ministers, find the necessary funds to resolve this. The people from City Hall, the Green Brigade, those who work, they had months of back pay owed to them. For these people, those who are out of work, people weren't fighting for them before. No one came to us to say, hey, the women are sweeping branches at my place. It was one of my men who brought it up once. They said, it's been months like this, and so on, with their work. I looked into it, and he told me it was true. I said, as soon as we can, we need to make up for everything they've missed. Some of them had several, even dozens of months of back pay owed. We pulled out the files and decided to make up for all of that. So, we need to practice unionism. If there's a problem, people should come to us and explain it. If we can solve it, we'll tell you we can do it. If we can't, we'll tell you, for now we can't, but we'll be able to do it in a certain amount of time. But if there's a problem, we gather the media and speak however we want. I hope they'll find a solution with you. Otherwise, if after that you don't come to us anymore, I want us to work in an African way. When there's a problem at home, we sit down, we talk, and we have to be truthful. What we can do, we must say clearly, we can do this. What we can't do, we'll also tell you that we can't. Now, if you don't want to, everyone does what they can, but we have to be responsible. There is no problem that cannot be solved. And as I always say, always act with the interests of the nation in mind. That is very important. So we resumed the dialogue as we do with everyone. We haven't broken off dialogue with anyone. Everyone is welcome here.
Thank you.